Now, if everything goes according to plan, the new Nigerian Football League season is scheduled to start between late September and early October after the country's federation suspended and later cancelled the 2019-2020 campaign. However, there are still concerns over whether the league will take off. CGTN's Deji Badmus has more.
The stadium is a home ground of one of the football clubs in the Nigerian Premier League. The last time it hosted a football game was back in March this year, 18th of March to be precise. 2 days after that football game, the stadium was shut down, and since then, no one has been allowed access here. It's the same story for all the stadia across this country at the moment. Football authorities in the country are now hoping to restart the league by early October at the latest. But some analysts say that could be a tough call to make.
The Premier League does not have a broadcast sponsor. Most of their sponsors are pulling out. They are struggling. In fact, I heard on authority that the outgone league, the outgone season was footed by the government. That it was the government that had to give like a loan for them to start the league. So now, how often will you be going to the government to ask for money?
The ultimate decision on the resumption of the league rests squarely with the government, in particular the country's COVID-19 task force, which has ruled out the resumption of contact sports for now. The last time the task force had something to say about football activities in the country, it didn't hold out much hope for the resumption of the league anytime soon.
I don't see the excitement that will be achieved if we allow sporting activities, particularly soccer like the Premier League, to resume in an empty stadium.
But beyond playing without the crowd, there are also questions as to whether the football clubs in the country, which are mainly government-owned, can afford to pay for the weekly COVID-19 test that will be required for both players and staff.
According to the government, the amount to test one player is almost like 50,000 naira. And I don't know where they will carve that out, especially for clubs that are still complaining that there is no money. Some of them are still owing players.
What I will advise is that the league they can adopt an abridged league, whereby, like the UEFA is doing now, having all the 8 qualifiers for the quarterfinals of their competition grouped in a place, and then you play a mini league. You get the players isolated. Each team has its own dedicated hotel, and they don't have contact with any other person other than a member of their squad. So that is what I expect the Nigerian Football Federation or the NMC to be thinking about.
For now, everyone is waiting on the government to decide. But for a player like Anthony Omaka, who plays for one of the country's Premier League clubs, almost 5 months without football has dealt a massive psychological and financial blow.
No player on earth in this whole wide world that exists, this pandemic issue will go to this length. We never believe and we never expected that we'll be at home to this extent. But everybody knows what is going on in the world right now, so we just have to adapt to what is going on in the country right now. I miss football so much, but what can we do, just as I said earlier, because of what is happening in the world now.
The government would have to make up its mind on the issue and do so quickly, as there are fears that not restarting the league by the first week of October could make it difficult for football authorities to determine teams for continental competitions and affect the general standard of football in the country. It's difficult to tell when football will resume in this country, but when it does resume eventually, it's very uncertain that football fans will be allowed at the stands here. Deji Badmus, CGTN, Lagos, Nigeria.